Hi, welcome back. You know, this is kind of an in-between time when it comes to gardens. All of those spring flowers, blooms, they're kind of out of here. The summer blossoms haven't quite popped. But you know what? We can still have our garden look great. And Derek Thomas, our dear friend with Thomas Landscapes, is with us today to help us sort of make that garden pop in this in-between time.
Absolutely. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about those early summer showstoppers.
Because these are absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a great way to bring color and interest into the garden and not particularly go to the default of flowers.
So you don't have to have flowers and blooms. You can have some of these green plants and other things that you can do to make that garden look good.
Right, and what we want to talk about is just jazzing it up, getting things exciting in your garden.
Right.
Maybe picking out some of these plants at this time of the year because June and July are tough times in the garden. And even though the flowers like the lilies and different things like that are going to be out in July, what you want to look at is like different textures. Like look at the delicate texture of this new Mahonia.
Right.
And then compare that with the color of the Penstenium. This is a newer Penstenium also. You can bring some pop into the garden with the color of Coleus. The cool blue of that blue star juniper.
Right.
And then of course there's things like the lace leaf maple, which
Derek,
is always wonderful.
Are these annuals or perennials?
These are all perennials.
That means they come back every year.
Right, with the exception of these two grasses. These are tender perennials, which means when we have a winter that's milder, they will make it over. But most of these are going to come back each year. The Coleus is an annual, but it's a trusted annual.
Right.
Another good benefit about using plants like these is that you're not introducing flowers per se to the garden. And that's going to keep people who have allergies, like with bees and stuff like that, it's going to keep the bees away because there's really nothing to attract the bees to the garden, yet you have an attractive garden.
That's great. And if you want to plant a few little maybe annuals to make it pop a little bit, you can do that.
You can absolutely add that in.
But the biggest bulk of what you have is going to be these type of plants.
You can absolutely do that. Now, one of the things that we wanted to talk about was some of the do's and don'ts for June.
All right.
You don't want to be transplanting plants at this time of the year.
Is it too hot?
It's a little bit too hot. You don't want to do any heavy pruning to your plants. You've kind of missed the boat on that one.
Okay.
Now, if there's a branch that breaks off in a summer storm, absolutely prune it. But other than that, don't do any heavy pruning.
All right.
And unless you are a professional or hire a professional, don't install a whole new garden.
Got it.
And if you do install the garden this time of the year, be prepared to water. We want to also talk about building the soil. And, Guevara, I have to say, and I know that you know them, all of the plants here were gifted to us from our friends at Ed's Plant World.
Oh, that's great. I drove by there the other day. I was shooting a story up in Brandywine, and I looked over and thought, oh, I wish I could stop. Yeah, they've got great plants.
Now, one of the things that you want to do in the summer months, you can see this euonymus, which is gorgeous, but its roots have started to be exposed a bit.
Okay.
Take the time to take some compost, do a top dressing with the compost. I like to use a little bit of an organic fertilizer, any of your commercially available ones, and put some more compost in there. What that's going to do, it's going to protect the roots during those hot summer months.
Great.
You can then top it off with a little bit of mulch, and you're good to go.
Well, what if, like insects, bugs, disease, because sometimes plants have a tendency to be susceptible to that.
Oh, yeah, and when you've got a lush garden in the middle of June, you're the hottest thing on the block when it comes to an insect. So what you want to do during the June and July months is also check your plants regularly. If you see things, like you see this Mahonia here, it's got a little bit of brown on this leaf right there.
Right.
Watch that and make sure that it's not a insect or fungus infection that's getting in there.
Okay.
If it is, then go to a trusted garden center and get something that's going to be a broad spectrum. Hopefully you can get something that's organic and treat the plant before it gets out of control. Plants are just like us. If it gets a disease, you got to nip it in the bud.
Catch it early.
Absolutely.
Okay. Gosh, Derek, thank you so much. These are always lovely, and again, Ed's Plant World provided them all for us.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ed's Plant World, and it's just a beautiful way to add some pop to your summer garden.
Sounds wonderful. Thanks. Appreciate it.